Today we're going to be doing a product review and we're going to be comparing these two scan tools together. The team over at Kingbolen has sent me this scan tool, this Ediag Elite, to review, and they asked me to review it against the Autel. This is the 808 MaxiCOM. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to find out if a $100 scan tool can keep up with a $500 scan tool. And you're going to be surprised. So when they sent me this product, I wasn't aware of the versatility that this product offers. I didn't think it was going to be able to keep up with the Autel, I have to say. I thought it wasn't going to do its job. I was thinking it was just going to be a basic scan tool and just read the codes and that was it. This turned out to be a very powerful tool and I'm going to show you everything I have found out. So let's go ahead and find out what comes in this little box. So right inside here, we have the actual part that gets installed into the OBD2. This is wireless. It works with your Bluetooth and it connects to your phone. In the Autel, it does come in a tablet form. It does have a screen and it does come with a cord that you plug into your vehicle so you could read your codes and you could do some testing. So now that we have a brief understanding and how these two products work, let's go ahead and test them out. This is a 2013 370Z and it had a dead battery. So of course, when you have a low battery, you will get different codes and different modules stating that there isn't sufficient battery voltage. We're simply just going to compare the Autel versus the Kingbolen. We're going to compare how many modules it reads and what are the codes and can we clear them. So first I'm going to start with the Autel and then we're going to see what the Kingbolen could read. Okay, so I have the ignition on, engine off, and I'm going to go ahead and go into diagnostics and I'm going to let it find my VIN. I'm going to do an auto detect, and now I am going to do an auto scan and I'm going to scan through all the modules and try to retrieve as many codes as possible, and we're going to try to read as many modules as possible. Okay, so currently we were able to read 6 different modules. I was able to read the engine, ABS, the BCM, the meter, so on and so forth. You guys get the idea. So here are some of the codes that we were able to bring up with this scan tool. So some of these codes are going to be hard codes and I am not able to erase them until I repair some of the things because we do have aftermarket seats in here. So some things will be on and some things we will not be able to erase, but we're not going to erase anything with this scan tool. You can see we have some ABS, some engine codes, we have some BCM codes. There's a ton of codes. And like I said before, the battery was very low in this vehicle. It was a bad battery and you always get codes when your battery goes dead. So that's why some of these codes are here. Some of the other codes that are in here, they're hard codes, and that's because this vehicle has aftermarket seats and the airbag light is going to be permanently on because since there's things that are not connected, it's going to sense that and it's going to say, hey, there's something wrong here. So there's some of these codes that we're not going to be able to clear. So now that I have retrieved all of these codes, let's go ahead and hook up the Ediag and we're going to see if it's able to read them or not. And I counted 6 modules in here. We're going to see if this one is able to read the 6 modules that we were getting. And if you're a viewer at home and you have no idea what a module is, basically it's a computer system. So in every modern car, there's a ton of computers that control different components in the vehicle. So you have one for the engine, you have one for the AC, you have one for the transmission. You have a ton of different computers, and some vehicles have more than others. And depending on the scan tool that you have, you're able to read more or less of those modules. And it's very critical to be able to read as much of those modules as possible because guess what? If you're not able to read it, you're not able to fix it. So let's go ahead and see if this scan tool is able to read what the Autel is able to read. So again, this is wireless. It works with Bluetooth, and I'm going to go ahead and stick it under here in the OBD2 port. So right away, one of the cool things about the scan tool is that it comes with its own app and it's completely wireless, like I was saying, and it connects to your smartphone. So you're able to connect it and you're able to start reading codes off of it. Now, I'm pretty sure I will test it later. I'm pretty sure if you wanted a bigger screen, you could use a tablet as long as you have internet connection. You need the internet connection, and I'll show you in a minute why. If you want a bigger screen, you should be able to do that. We have it hooked up to the vehicle. Let's go ahead and retrieve those codes. I have already hooked up to this vehicle before, but I'm gonna go through the process just so I could show you guys. So basically, you have the ability to scan the VIN. So I'm gonna do a VIN scan right now. And it's connected to the Bluetooth, and it's doing a VIN scan. So now that I have this connected and it discovered what type of vehicle it is and it read the VIN, I'm gonna go ahead and do a health report. So basically right now it's scanning through all the modules, trying to read all the codes, and then it's gonna tell me exactly what's going on. All right, so this was something that I was not expecting. Apparently, apparently with this scan tool, I was able to read a module that this one did not pick up. And I'll show you right now what I'm talking about. So there is a SRS module, okay? So that stands for Supplemental Restraint System. So that's anything that has to do with your airbags. So apparently the Autel was not able to pick those up. And that really surprises me because I did not expect the Autel to miss something. So I'm gonna go ahead and hook this up again and see if we could retrieve those codes and see what's going on. It might be that the Autel is simply not able to read those codes. And that is a shocker that a $100 scan tool like this one can outperform this guy. So let's go ahead and find out. So right now I'm doing another scan, and I'm just gonna see if for some reason it wasn't able to read it the first time. For some reason, I'm gonna do a scan again. We're gonna find out. All right guys, so I hooked it up and I was not able to retrieve that module. I wasn't able to look at the restraints module. This is a shocker to me. I did not know that the video would end up turning out like this. I didn't know that this $100 scan tool was going to be able to pierce into different modules that were in here. This scan tool wasn't able to see. I thought that this scan tool for sure was going to win. And this is a shocker. It really is. So that comes to show you that big things come in small packages. So here are all the modules once again, and we have 6 of them, and I'm just going to go through them because some of you guys might think that I'm faking this, that this is all a skit, but it really isn't. This is a shocker to me. So I decided to do a little bit of investigation with the scan tool, and I went into control unit, and we could see all of the modules that it's able to pick up, and the SRS is not in there, guys. Look at that. So guys, check this out. This is what's very interesting. So I went into where you could see all the modules individually. There is the airbag module right here, and I click into it, and there seems to be a communication problem. So it's not able to read with this scan tool that module for whatever reason, but with the other one I am able to read it. So this is something I have seen before. Depending on the type of scan tool that you have, you're able to pierce into that module, retrieve those codes, and you could actually read what's going on. Some scan tools are able to pierce into those modules and retrieve those codes better than others do. And I don't understand why can't they all play in the same level, but some of them are just better than others at doing this. So it seems like the Autel MaxiCOM is not able to read the airbag for whatever reason in this vehicle. So let's go ahead and hook this guy back up again, and we're gonna see what else we could find. I just want to show you guys how many codes it was able to read more than the Autel. So apparently we have a total of 14 codes, and they're all in here. This is what I was talking about. If you're not able to read the codes, then you cannot fix it. You cannot access it. You have no idea what's going on. So that's why it's important to have a scan tool that's able to retrieve as much codes as possible. And to our surprise, this one can. So now that we have all these codes here, let's go ahead and clear them. Let's see if we could clear them. And like I said before, some of these are hard codes. They will not go away, and some of them, they will go away. But basically, I'm trying to show you guys if you're able to go in there, retrieve the codes, and clear them, because basically that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be trying to read the codes, repair whatever it's got going on, clear them, and seeing if you fix the problem or not. So let's go ahead and hit clear. So currently right now we have 15 hard codes. So basically what that means is not until that component is repaired or replaced or whatever I have to do to fix it, those codes won't go away. So I do have one for the AC system, and let me go ahead and see what it is. And it's basically telling me that it's the sun load sensor. Basically what that sensor is, it's a sensor that is situated somewhere on the dash or somewhere that when the sun hits it and you have it in the automatic climate control, it senses, hey, there's more sunlight coming in. I should go ahead and start to raise up the volume of air that I'm pushing into the vehicle to maintain the proper air temperature. This is just an automatic feature that majority of the newer vehicles have to be able to automatically set your climate control. So this is a way that they monitor the light coming in. So if there's more light coming in, there should be more heat coming in, and they go ahead and raise the fan, or they increase the amount of cool air getting circulated into the vehicle by using a blend door motor and forcing more air through your vents, more cooler air through your vents. So this sensor must be bad in my vehicle, and I didn't even know that because I hadn't checked that. So before I back out of this, I do have the ability to try to clear the code again. I could do an action test, or I could read the live data. So I'm gonna read the data, and apparently, let me see. I'm gonna click into the sunshine sensor, and I'm gonna try to see if I could get a reading from it, and I'm gonna use a flashlight of some sort to see if we could get this to activate and see if we're getting a reading from the sensor. So right here we have a graph form, and this is something I would use in the field to be able to diagnose your vehicle. If your vehicle will come in and it has this type of code, I would bring up a graph like this, and then I would go up to the sensor and I would either put it outside in the sun to see if we could get a voltage reading coming in, or use a flashlight. So in this situation, I'm gonna use a flashlight. I'm gonna locate where that sensor is, and we're gonna see if there's a reading. And more than likely, since I'm having a code and I see nothing coming in through here, more than likely the sensor is bad, and I simply just need to replace it. Okay, so we have the sun sensor is located right here on the 370Z, and I have the graph still pulled up, and I could see there was a little spike that came in. So maybe it is working, maybe it's not, and I'm gonna try to shine the light in there, and look, we can see that there is something happening, and I'm gonna turn it off, and it went down, and I'm gonna shine it again. So there is something happening. There is another sun sensor on the other side. We're gonna go and see if that one's working. All right guys, so I am way in the other side of the vehicle, and I have located the other sun sensor. So apparently in this vehicle, it comes with two. I just did a little bit of research, and this is the main one, and that's the secondary. So this one, I'm gonna go ahead and shine the light now, and we're gonna see if we get a reading. I do have the same graph pulled up right now, and I'm gonna shine this light in here, and we're gonna see if we get something. And it looks like we are getting nothing whatsoever. So both sun sensors seem to be communicating to the same graph, and I'm gonna go ahead and toggle it on with this one here. See if we could get something, and you can see that there is a reading going on, and there is nothing going on this side. So we basically just diagnosed my vehicle and discovered that the sun sensor is bad with this $100 scan tool. That is pretty powerful. This is something that a couple of years ago, only high-end scan tools were able to do. This is incredible to me. For a person that comes back from a professional automotive field, this is a game changer. I actually diagnosed this problem with the sun sensor right now live as I'm recording this. I did not scan this ahead of time and try to diagnose it ahead of time. I did it in real time. I scanned it. I discovered that there's a code for the AC system. I'm also going to double check and make sure that the pigtail's not disconnected, because I am not the first owner. The previous owner could have disconnected it for whatever reason, but more than likely what's wrong is that sun sensor is bad. So there is a little bit more testing that I can do in my part to make sure I don't spend a ton of money in parts that are not needed. But so far we have pinpointed a problem and we were able to do it with the Ediag Elite. So let's go ahead and see the SRS codes that we were not able to clear. And basically we have a driver seat airbag module. So that is gone. So just like I was saying, guys, since this car has aftermarket racing seats, that module is gone and it's not able to read any of that. So perhaps that's why the Autel wasn't able to read those modules, because it's not there. But the Ediag had no problem picking those up. And we could just go down the list here, and there's just a bunch of airbag codes. So those codes are not going to go away anytime soon. So we're done reading the codes. Let's see what else it could do. So once again, I have hooked up the Autel 808 to the vehicle, and now we're going to do some component testing. So basically, component testing is something that we do as a technician, or you would do at home when you're trying to pinpoint what the actual problem is going on. So doing some component testing is very critical when it comes to diagnosing vehicle parts, because there could be so many things that go wrong with the vehicle. You could have a faulty wire, you could have a bad relay, you could have a burned fuse, you could have a faulty module. There's so many things that could go wrong, and of course the component itself could be bad. So you have to be able to test it somehow. So there are ways that you could do it manually without the scan tool, but that just makes it more difficult. It makes you waste a lot of time in hooking probes up to energize solenoids to get them to actuate on and off, when you could just simply hook up a scan tool. So component testing was one of those things that only the higher tier scan tools were able to do in the past. So when they approached me with this $100 scan tool, I didn't think it was going to be able to hang with the Autel at all, but I was surprised to find out that it is. So right now I have the Autel hooked up, and we're going to toggle some things on and off, and I'm going to give you different scenarios in what I would be looking for when the vehicle will come in, when I'm trying to diagnose something. And then we're going to see if the Kingbolen could keep up with this. We're going to figure out if the Ediag Elite is capable to keep up with the Autel. And get ready, guys, you might be as surprised as I was. So I'm going to go ahead and go to active test, and you can see there's so many things that you could do here. So you could do ignition timing, you could do fuel injectors. You can see there's quite a bit. So something very easy to show you on camera. So I decided to toggle on the headlamps to be able to show you, because it's one of the easiest things I could show you on film. So I have it pulled up here, and with this scan tool, I'm going to be able to toggle on and off the headlamps. So how would this work? Let's run the scenario. Your headlights stop working, you replace the bulbs, and they still do not work. You try to probe the wires up in the headlamp, and there is nothing. There is no voltage. And when you hit the light switch to turn them on, there's still nothing going on. What do? Well, you could hook up a scan tool and you could toggle things on and off to figure out if this switch is bad, because you could have a bad switch not turning on those lights. And this is one way that you could determine if that switch is bad or good. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle on the headlamps, and I'm going to put it in high beam. And then we had the lights turn on, and I'm going to turn it off through the scan tool. And you can see I'm pressing this here, and they turn on and off, and I could do the low beams. So there's the low beams. So you can see this makes it a lot easier for you to be able to diagnose things very quickly. So even if you're at home or you're a professional, you would use component testing to be able to diag your vehicle very efficiently. So now let's find out if the Ediag Elite is able to do the same thing. All right, guys, so once again, I have it hooked up to my phone, and you can see all of the different modules. So I'm going to go ahead and go into body control, and I'm going to go ahead and select action test. So You can see there are so many different tests that you can do. You could do a door locked. I mean, there's a lot of tests that you can do here, and that's pretty incredible. I did not think that this scan tool was going to be able to unlock all these different features, all these different tests. And like I was saying before, this used to be only for higher end scan tools, but it's starting to switch over to more affordable scan tools like this for people like me and you at home. So I'm going to go into the headlamp. So just like the Autel, I have the ability to click on the high, and now we're going to hit the low. We're going to execute, and there we have the low. That's very nice. That's really powerful, guys. And then I'm going to turn them off. Just like that, they're off. So like I showed you before, there are so many different tests that you can do, and that's just in the body control module. Let's go ahead and see if we could toggle on the rear tail lights. So I went to tail lights, and I'm just going to turn them on, and I'm going to execute, and then they are. They're on, guys. Look at that. And with the phone, wireless from here, I turned them off. Just like that. Very simple. From your phone. That's amazing. So guys, I could continue to go down each and every one of these modules, turning things on and off and showing you how many of these features it's able to do. But the video would be 2 or 3 hours long, and that is not practical right now. So what I'm going to do is, at the end of the video, tune into that. I'm going to have a list of all the modules it's able to do. The Autel versus the Ediag Elite. Alright guys, so I have switched vehicles, and now I am working on my 2006 Honda Ridgeline. So on this vehicle we have a problem, and I'm gonna try to diagnose it. So currently right now the instrument cluster, the RPM gauge is not working, and also the fuel gauge isn't working. Now the fuel gauge could be related to the sending unit in the fuel pump in the back, but the RPM gauge could be related to something else. It could be the wire, it could be it's not receiving a signal, or it could be the instrument cluster is going bad, or it's bad. So now that I have the Ediag hooked up, I'm gonna go ahead and figure out what's going on. So since this is the first time I'm hooking up this vehicle with the scan tool, I do have to download the software, and that's what I had to do with the 370Z. So it seems like every time you're going to work on a different vehicle, it has to go into the internet and download it into the phone to be able to work with the software and work with all the components to be able to communicate. So this is something you should keep in mind. In the very first try, in the very beginning, it's not going to be lightning fast. You have to download it in, depending on your cell service and how quick your phone is, you'll be able to go into there very quickly, or it might take a little bit. So I just started it and it's ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and do a health report first and see all the modules and see what it retrieves back. And this is the same thing I was doing with the 370Z. So right now it's checking through all the modules, and it's going to read every single code that I have. And maybe we might get something from the instrument cluster telling me, hey, there is a fault here, or I'm going to have to go further into testing the component. See, we're going to try to see if we could toggle on the RPMs and toggle it off to see if the instrument cluster is working or if there's something else going on. Let's go and see the body control module and see we have gauge control module. So I do seem to have a code for lost communications with gauge control module. So this could be one of the clues into diagnosing this instrument cluster. There could be a problem with the instrument cluster itself, and in this situation, the instrument cluster itself is the module, it's the computer system. So I could have a fault in there, and it says power supply circuit. There's another code for the power supply circuit, input error for relay control module. So there are some electrical codes, there are some things that are working and are not working. So what we're going to do right now is since we have so many of these codes, I'm going to go ahead and clear it. And before I clear it, I'm going to show you that the RPM gauge is not working, just in case it starts to work right away. Okay, so we have the RPM gauge right here, and you can see it is not working. I'm going to rev up the truck. I'm revving it up. You can see the RPM is not working, and you can see right here that the fuel indicator is not working as well. Okay guys, so I set up the phone here so I could better control everything and record at the same time. So you can see we have all of these modules, and I'm going to go ahead and go into the body control module, and now I'm going to go into gauges. So I pulled up the screen, and basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm punching in the amount of RPMs I want to be shown in the tachometer. So basically what it's going to do now, it's going to simulate 1500 RPMs, and you should see something there. If we're not seeing anything there, then it is a good indication that the instrument cluster is bad itself, and it's simply not receiving a signal there. So I'm going to go ahead, hit OK. And now it says it's testing, and I don't see anything moving. Nothing has moved. So I'm going to exit the test. And just to make sure everything is working properly, my speedometer is working, and I'm going to go ahead and click into that, and then I'm going to do the same test to make sure that this is communicating with the instrument cluster. So I'm going to go ahead and put let's go ahead and put it at 40 miles per hour. We're going to hit OK, and you can see it moved. This is giving me a good idea that the scan tool is communicating. It's giving me a good idea of this instrument cluster is just not working. There's something going on here. So we could do something else to determine whether it's an instrument cluster or there's a wiring problem or something. So we're also going to do the same thing with the fuel gauge, because it could be the sending unit in the back, it could be in the fuel tank, or it could be in the instrument cluster. It could be that this whole instrument cluster is starting to go bad. So I am looking here to see if we could change the fuel level to high, and we're only able to put it to low. And as of right now, it is low all the time, no matter how much fuel we put in there. So it doesn't seem like we're able to select a different test to be able to increase the amount of fuel that it sees. So even though I hit execute and I'm executing the test, nothing is happening, and it's because it's telling it to go to empty, and basically that's what it's seeing right now. So I wonder if the Autel is able to have a different feature that this doesn't have, to be able to put that fuel indicator to high. But we saw we were able to test the RPMs and the miles per hour, and we can see that it is communicating. So another thing that you can do is you can even come in here and check other features. You could check your charging system indicator, and then we're going to turn it on, and you can see the battery light turn on, and then I'm going to turn it off just like that. And I'm turning it off and on with the scan tool, and I'm going to go into, let's go ahead and do engine oil pressure indicator. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it on, and there it is. There's the engine oil indicator light. So when you would see that, you would know, hey, it's time to check my oil. There's something going on. So you should never see that turned on. You should be checking your oil before that. This is your PCM or ECU, depending on what vehicle you're looking at. So right here, look at all of these sensors that I'm able to pull up information on. And guys, it goes forever. There's so much that I'm able to look at. So very specifically, I'm gonna go right here into the search bar because I want to find it very quickly. I'm gonna put speed. So right there I have engine speed. I'm gonna click on that. I'm gonna hit OK. And look at that, guys. Look at this. It's showing me, let me see if I could get it to zoom in, focus. All right, guys, look at that. It's showing me the RPMs. Let's go into graph form right here. So right now I'm going to accelerate the vehicle. We're going up in RPMs, and you can see the gauge is not working, but it's showing here that it is working. There is a signal. So more than likely, there's something going on with that instrument cluster. So more than likely, there's something wrong there. So this is a real life example in diagnosing things using a scan tool. This is exactly how I go about fixing things with the vehicles. So I use a scan tool and I do a series of tests to determine what's going on. And this gives me a better clue of whether I need to replace the instrument cluster or I need to do further testing. And for this situation, like always, I would always recommend doing further testing. Maybe back probing the pins in the back of the instrument cluster once you remove it, and make sure that there is a signal going into there. Look up the schematic and make sure the signal is it's getting received to the back of the instrument cluster, because you don't want to be throwing parts at anything and spending money for no reason. But more than likely, what's going on in this vehicle is the instrument cluster, at least in the RPM side. We still haven't figured out what's going on in the fuel side. It could be the sending unit. So since I was not able to toggle this all the way to the top, let's hook up the Autel and see if we could turn it to the top. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. But look guys, very impressed with this scan tool right now. Look at all of these that you're able. I'm gonna select them all and just turn it on. So right now guys, I have selected all of them and I am just skimming through it really quickly so you can see all of the live data that's just coming in. So I'm gonna go ahead and click engine coolant temperature. So I try to select things that basically everyone understands and they understand what I'm looking at. So just to make it, you know, as easy as possible for people. This could be the first time that you're looking at a scan tool and you're looking at any of this information. And if you're shopping around, I just want you to be able to understand what's going on. So this is my engine coolant temperature. So you can see it is at 145 degrees. And that's because I have recently just started this vehicle. So I turned it on for this video and it's not too hot. So usually it will operate around, let me see if I could get it to focus. Usually the temperature will operate around 200 degrees to 210. Right around 200 to 210, the fan will kick on. It will start to cool down the coolant and it'll cycle on and off the fan to maintain the coolant temperature. Okay, so I have hooked up the Autel. I'm gonna go ahead and go into gauges. And guys, to my surprise, I don't know what's going on. So the Autel is not able to right now read my gauges. Look at this. I'm not messing around. It's just not able to. Okay, so we're gonna escape and we're gonna do an auto scan and see if it's what's going on. We're gonna do an all system auto scan. So right now it's doing a full module scan. You can see all of the modules and the gauge module is in there. We're gonna see if it's able to retrieve any information or what's going on. With this vehicle, on this Honda Ridgeline, the 2006 one, it was able to see the SRS module. So it was able to see the airbag modules in this vehicle. And that's what I was trying to say before. Sometimes some scan tools do better with different manufacturers or different modules. It's able to go in there and retrieve them and look at them and show you guys, hey, this is what's going on. And look, it's found a fault there. There's a code there with the airbag. So there's something going on there. I have 5 codes with the tire pressure sensor, and I know I haven't programmed the sensors to the vehicle yet. They have brand new sensors, but I just haven't programmed it yet. So we do have body electrical faults. We have 10 of them, okay? But if you see right here, you go to gauge and it's showing no response. So it's showing me that there's no communication with that gauge whatsoever. All right guys, so I did bring out the big guy. I brought out the Snap-on, and this is a $5,000 scan tool. Even though this is old, it's still very powerful. Now, I know I was gonna keep it just with the Autel, but I'm curious to see what's going on. How come it's not able to read the gauge? So the Autel, we saw it wasn't able to read the gauges, but the Snap-on seems to have no problem. Just like the Ediag Elite, it's able to read the gauge, and we could do a test here. So I'm going to do a test just like I did with the E-Diag. So I'm going to enter a value here. Let's go to 2000. Okay. Continue. Okay. So something should be happening and it's not. So something's going on with the instrument cluster that it doesn't let me change it. So we're going to exit, and once again we'll go into speedometer. So I'm here and I'm able to punch in whatever value I want, and we're going to say 100 miles per hour. We're going to hit continue, and there it goes. You can see I just moved it. We're not moving at all, and the speedometer, the speed meter was able to move. So that's telling me, hey, there's something going on with the RPMs in that side. There's no communication coming in. It could be the wire or it could be the instrument cluster itself. But let's go back and see if we could do something with the fuel indicator. And just like we saw in the E-Diag Elite, there only seems to have a feature to show the low, that you can show the fuel level is low, the low indicator. So that doesn't do us much help because that's what it shows all the time right now. But the only reason I brought this out was to verify that the Autel wasn't able to have that feature, and it wasn't able to read it, and it wasn't able to go into the instrument cluster. So that's the only reason I brought this guy out, just to verify that. And to my surprise, that $100 scan tool is performing like a $5,000 scan tool. I had no clue that the E-Diag was going to outperform the Autel. So even though I did not purchase this with my own money, this is as transparent as I can be. I'm literally showing you guys some scan tools are able to read some of the codes and some of the modules, and some scan tools are simply not able to. There's things on the Snap-on scan tool that I cannot read unless I have the Autel. I have discovered that, and I'll have a video on that later, but we're going to continue to concentrate on this little guy. All right guys, so I decided to hook it up to the tablet and see how it works. You can see it's the same thing as in the phone, but a lot bigger. So this is why I was saying you will need internet for your tablet. So the app, when you download it, of course you need internet. You could provide it with a hotspot, or you could connect to your local Wi-Fi. Every time you hook this up to a different manufacturer, a different vehicle, it's going to have to download all of that software. So you're going to need some type of internet connection if you're hooking up with a tablet. So if your tablet's already hooked up to the internet via a cell service, then you're all set. If you're not, then you're going to have to provide it with a hotspot, or you're going to have to hook up to a local Wi-Fi. So you can see we're almost done with this update, and then we're going to go ahead and try to link back up to the vehicle and see how it works. And also keep this in mind, depending on the model tablet you have or phone, that will affect the performance, and also the cell service or Wi-Fi service that you have, that you are hooked up to, it will affect the speed. So we're almost done here with that. Just like I was doing with the phone, it's able to do with the tablet the same exact way. And of course, it's just an app. It's running on the app, and it's able to detect those modules and connect to it and read them. Since the scan tool does have bidirectional, we're able to communicate back and forth with those modules, telling it, turn this on, turn this off. I just wanted to make sure that it did work on a tablet like I reported to you earlier in the video. And here you can see all the maintenance softwares that you could download. And I showed you this before, but here it is in a bigger picture, and you can see it a little bit better than on the phone. So they even have, I saw something interesting here, gearbox relearn. So apparently on some vehicles you would have to relearn your gearbox, and I'm downloading it right now. This vehicle would not be able to have that feature because it would more than likely have to be with some type of automatic transmission. This feature would probably be with some type of automatic transmission. Maybe after you replace the automatic transmission, you have to reprogram the module. Sometimes you have to do that. Maybe that's what this is for. I am not sure. I'm going to go ahead and open it. A lot of the times when you replace a transmission on a modern vehicle, it's not just a simple plug and play. You have to program the module to communicate with all the other modules. So the transmission control module has to communicate with the engine control module, so on and so forth. So some manufacturers make it easier than others, and some of them, they make you jump through hoops. So I have been there where you finish replacing a transmission and you have to then recalibrate everything for it to communicate properly. And unless you have the specific factory scan tool, or you have a scan tool that's able to read into those modules and write the code and do what it's supposed to, the vehicle will not drive properly or simply won't start at times. So been there, done that. It's not fun. That's why I always say that it's good to have a scan tool that's able to go into those modules, retrieve the codes, and rewrite whatever you needed to rewrite. Sometimes you're able to do it with a low price scan tool like this one, and sometimes you need a higher tier scan tool. There's no way around it. You have to hope and pray that it's able to do it. And what it looks like, it's able to do it on BMW, Jeep, Ford, GM, and Mercedes-Benz. So quite a bit of a selection here. So of course it has nothing to do with this vehicle. I just downloaded it because I wanted to see what it would let you do. So I went into the GM one, and here's what we get. We get Buick, Cadillac, Chevrolet, Hummer, so on and so forth. So you guys get the idea. So steering angle reset, injector coating, there's so much in here. Like I said, at the end of the video, I'll have a list of everything both scan tools could do and what they can't do. So then you could decide for yourself. All right, guys, so right now I have jumped into the 1999 Mazda Miata, and this has the standalone ECU. So I have no idea if the scan tool is going to be able to read it or not. So we're just going to go for it, and then we're going to see if the Autel is able to read it, if this is not. So since this is an aftermarket ECU, I'd never have done this before. So I'm going to be figuring it out just like you are right now. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the app, and I'm starting to do a VIN scan. So hopefully it's able to read something and we could pull something up here. So here we go. It doesn't seem to do an auto detect. It's not able to detect it with the auto detect. And one thing that I will say is when we installed this ECU, we did not have to program it to the vehicle whatsoever. Majority of the time when you're doing a install of a new module, you would program the VIN number and you would go through all these checkpoints and install the ECU to the vehicle, and then it'll be registered to the vehicle. Now, since this is a standalone ECU, we didn't need to do any of that, and we simply just installed it and programmed the vehicle, and that was basically it. So it seems like it's not going to be able to read it, but I am curious to see if the Autel is able to come up with anything. It might turn out that neither scan tool is going to be able to communicate with this. So basically, I am just trying to figure this out for my own information and to share it with you guys. Okay, so I have the 808 hooked up, and I'm going to go ahead and try to do an auto detect to try to detect the VIN and see if it's able to communicate. It more than likely won't work. And here we go, just like before, it's asking me to enter the VIN manually, so it's not able to detect the ECU. But I am going to say this. This is a standalone ECU, like I was mentioning before. If you have a ECU that you have flashed, so you could tune it, so you're using the factory ECU or BCM or whatever it's called in your vehicle, and you have flashed it over so you could unlock more horsepower and you could tune it, you should be able to use either one of these scan tools to access that computer system to retrieve some codes. This is only happening to us in this situation because we have installed a standalone ECU. So if you flash your ECU, you should be fine. All right, guys, what an amazing product. I really wasn't expecting this Kingbolen to be able to keep up with the Autel. I really wasn't. I had no idea what I was in for. So to my surprise, this little thing is very powerful. And you guys saw how sometimes the scan tools are just not able to go in there and read the information, all the information. So sometimes you could get stuck and you're not able to retrieve the codes, you're not able to access those modules, you're not able to fully communicate and toggle those things on and off. And sometimes, for whatever reason, some products do better than others with some manufacturers. You saw how this one was not able to retrieve the SRS codes in the 370Z, and then when it came time to go into the Honda Ridgeline, it wasn't able to access the instrument cluster and toggle on the RPMs and change the settings in there so we could do some testing. It just simply wasn't able to communicate with it. And I've seen this from time to time. Some scan tools are really good with being able to access those modules, and sometimes they just can't. I have seen this with low tier scan tools, and I've seen them with high-end scan tools. So it's just a hit or miss. It all depends in what type of abilities the scan tool has and how well it's able to communicate. So in the beginning of the video, I did promise you a sheet, a comparison between the Ediag Elite and the Autel 808. And here it is right now. I'm putting it up on the screen, and you could have a little bit more information when you're shopping for one of these. Now, if you are in the market for a brand new scan tool and you're looking for something that you could use at home or even in the professional setting, give this one a try. You can see how it has surprised me and how well it was able to communicate. Right now, you could pick this up for $100 in Amazon. I'm gonna put a link in the description. Check it out, it's definitely worth it. Of course, I was only able to show you 2 vehicles, and sure, maybe later on, I'll add a couple of more in a later video, but if I continue to go down this path, this video will be 3 or 4 hours long. If you found any value in this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. And I just wanted to make a special shout out for Kingbolen for sending this product so I could review it in my channel. If it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to test this product for you guys. So thank you guys for sending me the scan tool. It has been a game changer. I really didn't think that something so small could be so powerful. So that is it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.